So we'll go around and see what people are doing, and then we get video footage of what people are telling us, and then sometimes I might narrate it,
Yeah.
but they're just trying to get a feel for this place. And myself, I've been thinking about coming through here. It's like a Rambo movie, I could see myself them shooting at me, and I'm running through the jungle. Of course, I'm not Rambo, but it's a beautiful landscape here. It's very different from where I come from, the desert. Been here in this area for not too long, and just trying to get the feel for what it is. And then they say when you're trying to understand a place, they say in permacultural concepts that you need to see a place throughout the seasons. The cold season, the hot season, the short days, the long days. The days when it rains, the days when it's dry, and et cetera, et cetera. And the night and the day. I don't know if you studied all that's permacultural.
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, so you know what I'm talking about, and then, but it's about designing a landscape, and I think we see that we go places and people they're designing. We live on the earth, we have to make a relationship with this earth, and in such a way that we can, as humans, we want to live.
Yeah.
In some sort of quality of life, so that we're not slaves, and that we're not, there's a spirit amongst us, and the relations of humanity that some places we find that in our travels it just doesn't exist. Particularly in the United States, it's just a different mentality over there, and people in the United States, they just don't know how to live. They think they're doing well because they have material, and they got insurance for everything in the world, But here people are just living from what I've seen so far. But anyways, given that, how we're trying to be, it's hard to explain what we're trying to do, but I try to do it a little bit.
Yeah.
So maybe you can show us around and tell us what you're doing, and whatever you feel like expressing as far as you yourself and
Sure.
what you're doing here as a human being, as a spiritual being, as a physical being, and we don't have to necessarily get deep on philosophy of life, but I just said some stuff. Just keep it simple, live life, be happy.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm going to turn it over to you, and you can start showing us around, and we'll see. Probably have some questions or something, or maybe you have questions for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
So a pleasure to have you guys here, and this is our project. It's called Iku, which means corn in Wirrárica, in the Huichol language. Mm-hmm. So we have been working at this place for almost 2 years. We just came. I have been growing food around here for like 5 years, but we just moved to like our independent project. I was working for other places and other projects, but now this is ours. So it's 3 acres, 1.5 hectares, and we are mainly a vegetable, fruit, and I will let you know, I will tell you guys what's the vision of the project.
Okay.
So maybe we don't even have to go all the way up there, but there are hot springs up there, and the water is being born just like a couple 100 meters from here. So what we did is we made this kind of so this is a creek that actually flows naturally, and we made a pond to collect water. So water, I think cleanness is something that we really look for. So just to have clean water, it's something really important for us. And being sulfuric water from the hot springs, it's really mineral rich.
How is the water quality of this water here?
It's good. It's really good. It's being born right there. So they use it to fill up they have pools for people to bath.
Okay.
And the only thing that they put is lime. They lime the walls of the pool, so that way algae doesn't grow on the walls. That's pretty much what they do. And just people.
Minimal.
They don't use chlorine or anything.
Minimal intrusion on the natural environment.
Exactly. It's clean, So they empty up the pools once a week, so we pretty much just collect our water, and that's what we use to irrigate. So it's a mixture of permaculture, regenerative agriculture. We do biodynamic farming now. So it's a mix of whatever it works, we call it, Whatever it works, we do it. So
okay, well that's I'm familiar with a little bit of biodynamics. And so I don't know if anybody else is, but it's a good I respect their philosophy. You
Yeah.
know? I don't know. There's places you go and some people are 100% devout,
To the biodynamic.
and biodynamics, and I think they have a lot to offer. But I couldn't say I'm a biodynamic farmer.
Yeah.
But I respect the biodynamic farmers. They really have some stuff going.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind taking another class because it's super
Deep.
deep.
Yeah,
The word
yeah.
deep. I mean, too deep for our young audience here.
Yeah.
But that's it's deep. And I the first time I took the course, it was really kind of kind of like it's hard to focus on it. Just because it's a little bit out there. But I hope to do it again.
Yeah.
It's really amazing. I've never talked to you about this, but it's really an amazing process of
It's a
what they
beautiful
do.
way of
It's
farming,
very,
yeah.
very intricate, with the crystals and the manure and the bullhorns and and the timing of they plant
Yeah.
certain times, this time. 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock in the afternoon is the time to plant. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just plant whenever I have some
Whenever
time.
you
which
have
is-
time, yeah.
yeah, it's not going to be 2 to 4 on Thursday, so that's
Yeah.
where I have a difference. I mean, I
It's hard to-
respect them if they can do that, but I'm just not able to get into
hard
that,
to apply.
that mindset of
Yeah.
farming. It's just more basic. Today's a good day, and I need to do it before it gets cold or hot or different stuff
Exactly.
like that.
Yeah, that's my same approach.
Yeah.
So we try to apply it as much as we can. It's really hard to do it when you have like a constant production.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's better to have a constancy because my clients ask me, okay, I want this every week. So if you start like trying to figure out which day is a good way for planting, it's just impossible.
Yeah,
I try to do it with corn or like with things that are gonna be staying longer in the ground.
yeah.
When you are able, like when you actually have more independence of like, okay,
Yeah.
just to plan planting. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I know it's quite a process to, when you're at a certain scale. I haven't quite seen what you got here, but it's from what I'm getting, even the very small farmer, big farmer has to do the same thing. You can't
Yeah.
have all of this crops coming in at one time because the people can't eat it all at one time. So you have to
Exactly.
space out your planting within the season
Yeah.
so that you have, nice young looking lettuce coming out every 2 or 3
Every
weeks,
week,
or
every
however
week,
you
yeah.
need it, every week, or
Yeah.
depending on how much you're growing and how many customers you got, of course.
Yeah. So we are now kind of like ending the season. It's we start growing in September and we go all the way to April more or less. But my baby was born like 2 months ago,
Oh,
so we decided just to take it a little bit more easy.
okay.
And she's there. You guys
Okay.
are gonna meet her.
Okay.
So it's a mainly vegetable farm.
Okay.
And we began with this project. Maybe that's the first thing that we can
Okay.
look at. Yeah.
Okay.
That's Nawali.
Oh,
That's the farm guardian.
Hi, dog.
So this is we're growing oyster mushrooms.
Is this
The oyster mushrooms
the mushroom?
is a kind of mushroom.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
this is pretty much like the whole process that we use.
Oh, I don't.
So sometimes it's hard to do it, and we don't have any electricity here.
Oh, okay.
So it's hard. Well, you have to figure out because without electricity, you have to do it other ways. Because in big operations, they have like sensors or like timers to regulate the humidity and the CO2 and all of
yeah.
that. But we don't have that here, so we had to come with this design, which is cheap, and I think pretty much everybody can do it.
You're doing it. Okay.
We're doing it,
That's-
yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, so this is so you have to pasteurize first the thing that you are going to be growing the mushrooms in, which are corn stalks
Corn stalk.
that we are going to be growing here.
Or you can use straw,
Straw,
things
yeah,
like that. Dry
yeah.
material.
Yeah, we made a rocket stove
Okay.
for the bottom, so that way we use firewood. You
Uh-huh.
can use gas, but we're here and we're in the
Got some
jungle,
wood,
so we
got
have
some wood.
plenty of firewood.
Good.
So this is pretty much we put the straw here, and then we have a thermometer. You have to get to 80 Celsius for an hour.
How many degrees?
80 Celsius, which is like
Yeah, okay.
100,
80.
180
Oh, 180. Okay.
Fahrenheit, more or less, yeah.
180
Yeah,
Fahrenheit. Okay.
yeah. And after that, you lift up this basket, which is the straight's gonna be in,
Uh-huh.
and then we take it here where we do the sewing. And we made all of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a couple of people. So everything has to be in a way sterilized because of you don't want to get contamination from like other spores.
Yeah.
So that's why we use plastic and we disinfect this with peroxide and with vinegar. And here's where we do all the sowing. We sow and we put all the corn stalk in plastic bags.
Plastic bags.
Yeah, that's the thing that we have trying to figure out. We want to use buckets,
Uh-huh.
so that way we can keep using the same buckets.
Okay.
But first we want to kind of figure out the process.
Yeah.
You know, how much seed to put, how much humidity, how much everything. And after we have it, we're gonna be starting to use the buckets. So that way we're not generating the waste of the plastic bags. Yeah. So after we sow them here, we put them in the incubation room. Is the second part of the process, which is has to be a dark and a high carbon dioxide room, because you are trying to emulate the things that the mushrooms do underground.
Okay.
So we can like have it with shade cloth to keep it cooler. And
How do you create carbon dioxide in there?
no, the bags create them by themselves. The mushrooms, when it starts like eating the straw, starts like respirate carbon
so
dioxide.
They're creating itself. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So this is the dark room. You can smell it, the sweetness.
That's the what we're smelling is the what?
The mushrooms.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's a mix of the carbon dioxide and also the digestions that the mushrooms are doing here.
Uh-huh.
So we try to regulate the temperature, and you can see. Look at this, Uncle. It's full of mycelium.
Oh.
So we have this.
That's beautiful. That's how it breathes, huh?
Exactly.
And so the other stuff can't go inside of it.
Exactly, yeah. So it's supposed to be, so this is like a clean room, but also you are making a smaller clean place inside here because of the plastic bag.
Okay.
And this works like as a filter. Mm-hmm. And whenever we take them to the fruiting room, which is the other one, we just take this out, you know, and the mushrooms come from here.
Oh.
Yeah. So this is, we are always trying to, I believe that you can be...
Are these all the same kind of mushrooms, or are they different?
We have 1, 2, 3 different kinds.
Okay.
It's actually the same kind, but different colors.
Oh, different colors.
We have pink, gray, and white.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So you can make a pre-mix.
What's it called?
Pleurotus. Pleurotus. It's the oyster mushroom.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's Pleurotus, and it has like a second name depending on the color.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah. So we try to make this every week. So every week we make new bags.
Uh-huh.
So that way you have always like a constant flow of mushrooms. Yeah.
And you have a market for all this?
We just finished this like 2 months ago.
Oh, so you don't have the mushrooms growing yet?
No, we do, but we haven't kind of actually go out
and
to
market
sell the
them.
mushroom, market them, because we actually want to have everything
ready to grow.
Exactly, and have like all the details, like the humidity, the right seeds, the right time to be here.
Yeah, how long everything takes.
Exactly. So that way next season we're like already starting from September with like a constant flow of
I suspect, and I'm not a mushroom grower. I've tried it before, but I think that it's like anything. I think I think you're in the beginning. That's beautiful. But I think after maybe 10 years, 12, 15 years, you'll be the high guru master in the mushroom growing business.
Yeah, in this weather, without electricity.
But what it is, it's about seeing what works, the systems that you use, the technology that you use, and your observations of what works. And an experienced farmer can get better. I'm sure once you get a lot of experience, and you get your customers, you're gonna have that connection to your mushrooms and just really jive with it. The relationship that anybody has to have with their pets or their human beings, we have to have a relationship with our I guess in some sense, what we're doing is we're trying to understand nature when we do this. How these things actually grow in nature.
In the forest, yeah. And what we like about mushrooms, it's so from this bag you can get like 3 kilos of mushroom.
Okay.
So in order to get 3 kilos of mushroom, you only need like this much space.
Yeah.
And but like in order to get 3 kilos of meat, you need so much space and so much water and so much seed and so much grain and so it has like a similar nutritional value than meat.
Yeah.
So this is like a good way of helping out the people from around here. So you don't have to be eating meat and just participating from like all that process, like eating GMO, soy grains, and all of that.
I have a question for you. Do you have competition, or are you guys all sharing information? The different growers that grow all this stuff. Are you collaborating or teaching each other, or is it just like, sometimes it's proprietary. I guess the word is that you have your recipe or what you do, and you don't really necessarily want to give that out to
Yeah.
just somebody who might be competition.
Yeah, I guess no, that's not my case. You know, like my farm is always open, so that's the way that I was taught. You know, to be like welcoming with
Well,
people,
good,
and
good.
of course you have your secrets, you know, but you don't even know that you know those secrets. You know, it's like you know your ways of treating plants, talking to them, or like handling seeds and all of that.
Right on.
But no, and nobody. As far as I know, like nobody is doing this around here.
Okay.
Around the area, you know, you can find that in Tepic or Guadalajara, but not in the coast.
Okay.
Because people have the belief that you cannot grow them because of the heat.
Oh. Okay.
That's why we put the greenhouse under the shade.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, we're gonna put like solar panels to have ventilation. So we're just like trying to figure it out. Yeah.
I'm pretty excited about this. Like I have, taken classes in this stuff. And,
Yeah.
A little bit, and
Yeah.
and we saw another guy in Guadalajara that was doing a project similar to this, and of course was very fortunate to meet Paul Stamets.
Paul Stamets, he's the one. Yeah, he's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's
He's the master, you know.
He's the master, yeah.
way up there, you know.
Yeah, we're learning all of us from him.
From him, yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah, he's a great guy. I can't wait to meet up with him again sometime.
Yeah.
You know, he's just a.
Bring him down here. Yeah.
I'll see. I'm gonna see. It's kind of probably, it's probably a little bit challenging to actually, make contact with him because
Yeah.
he's probably under demand to
Like
go
he's
speak
busy.
about the world all over the world. You know?
Yeah.
But he is the main man. So anyway, I think you're doing a wonderful job. To me, I see the life that's coming out of this. It just, for me, it does something for me. I've grown mushroom just on a very little one bag type of thing, and that was fun.
It's fun.
Yeah,
So much fun.
yeah.
We can go and look at the other room.
Okay.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of time to study
Yeah, all of the
these forms,
approaches.
all these different
yeah.
forms of farming, which they all have a very been valuable for me and my knowledge. Biodynamics people, like I said, if I could take a course again, I certainly would. They got it going,
Yeah.
And of course, Paul Stamets, the master.
Yeah. So after they stay there for 3 weeks, 3 or 4 weeks,
Okay.
depending on the weather, and then we bring the bags here. And you can start getting that.
Nice. Beautiful.
Look at these ones, and you can, here in the back, you can see there are more growing back here. If you can. So that's the white one. This
yeah.
is the pink one, and this
Yeah.
is also the white one.
Beautiful.
This is the gray one.
Wow.
So we believe that each section of the farm, or like each organ of the farm organism, has to be connected with all of the pieces that we have.
Oh, beautiful.
So our idea is we're going to be growing the corn because we're going to bring like 200 laying chickens in next month.
Oh.
So we're going to be growing the corn, like a couple of hectares of yellow corn.
Wow. Beautiful.
So we're going to be harvesting the corn for the chickens, the stalks for the bags.
Okay.
And after you are done with growing mushroom, like this is the perfect feed for chickens.
Okay.
So you actually can maybe harvest from each bag like 3 or 4 times, and after that you end up having this brick of like mycelium. So like the white, which is full of protein, and so we're gonna be feeding the chickens with this.
Oh.
So it's gonna be like a whole, like trying to have everything connected.
Wow.
Yeah, and we have a sprinkler.
Gee, I want to go home and do this right away. That's what I wanna do.
Yeah, it's good. And also all of the little pieces that we don't use, also feeding the chickens with that. And
With the what?
so when we harvest them, we don't sell the whole thing. We only sell like the
Okay.
like all of the stems.
It's a little bit of the bottom part.
stems. Yeah, the stems are hard and like it's hard to cook them because they take a while.
Beautiful. Beautiful. No waste and
No waste.
the recycling and that's just a beautiful thing you're doing.
The bagging is the only thing that I don't like.
Yeah.
But we're thinking making like bricks, just like stocking all the bags in bottles.
Yeah.
And after a while, just using those for like building something. So just like try to figure out, it's easy to see because
I think that thing that the world has to come to, just kind of in your little model. I mean, it's really beautiful.
Yeah.
But the world has to come with, I don't know if we're never gonna have a perfect environment or perfect society, but I think that we could certainly by communicating as people what the issues are in terms of environment, and getting that word out. Because I think a lot of people are just, if they live in a certain place and the water comes out of their faucets and the TV goes on and the park is maintained and there's no beer cans in the park, I don't think they really care what's going on in the rest of the world.
Yeah.
Which is a big part of the world. There's a good part of this world that is, they're in their log compounds. They have their maids do everything for them. They have somebody cutting the grass, somebody fixing their electricity.
Community, yeah, everything.
All they do is they live there and probably go to their businesses and collect their monies, or to their corporation meetings, and they're very wealthy. I'm not saying they don't work hard, but I'm just saying that everything is done for them.
Yeah.
And they don't really have that relationship to,
with food.
This is where I'm going to sleep under the stars, or this is where I'm going to go fish, or this is where I'm going to go hunt, or I'm going to figure out and use my mind how to grow food. So all they figured out is the stock market.
Yeah.
That's how do you get connected to yourself if you're on your computer all day.
Yeah.
I can't understand that. But anyway, back to what you're doing here. It's beautiful.
Have you tried like 2-liter bottles or anything?
The plastic bottles?
Yeah.
Yeah, but we will. There are so many things that you can use. You can use cages, like metal cages.
I'm just thinking about what's being thrown away the most in Mexico, and I see Coca-Cola 2-liter bottles everywhere.
You can use them, yeah. It's only like a matter of
sterilizing,
and when you can get in the production, also you have to find the easy way. Like it's as Ed was saying, just like trying to stay in the middle. Because if we go and look for plastic bottles, it might be hard you have to come up with a design of how to hang the plastic bottles, or how to coat them, and you have to use all the same kind, because all of these bags weigh the same weight. So we have been thinking many things. I think that the best choice that we are gonna just follow look for is the buckets. So you actually get plastic buckets and you make holes, and you can use a plastic bucket for 10 years, I think. So you just have the plastic bucket stacked. So the only thing is the good thing about the plastic bag is that you can actually see what's happening inside. So for example, when this happens, which is not good, if this happens in a bucket, you will never know.
Just thought about that. As you were saying that, I'm like, oh yeah, I can't see.
Yeah.
If it was in a bucket.
Yeah. I think once we have it, the process, I think we can
maybe
move into a plastic bucket. Yeah.
Yeah. But I like that I can see myself. I could see the activity. It's just.
And you can actually just lift them and just, see what's happening.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy. I just did the mushrooms once, and and then here I am, looking at what you guys are doing, and I'm inspired to do mushrooms, and maybe we'll have people all over the world growing mushrooms, and we'll have a mushroom revolution. What do you think about that?
I think so. No, I think that's they can break down plastic, petroleum.
And you know what they're gonna say? It's all your fault. The leader of the revolution we got, folks, here. You're doing a good job.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see what else you got going.
Yeah. Have you been here for a while, Uncle?
In this area?
Yeah.
It's been about 4 days.
4 days?
Yeah.
Oh. So you went with Melancayo yesterday, right?
Yeah. Cool. So I met you in the Sundance, huh?
At the Sundance, I danced third year. No, in Matlan. And then I finished. Yeah, I went to Product Paradise for 1 year.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it was a good. About a year and a half.
A year and a half ago. Yeah.
Hey.
So this is where this is where our sewing lists are.
Okay.
So we try to be as much as we can organized, which is sometimes really hard, because once you get the season going, it's you don't even have time for drinking water.
Tell me about it.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
Let me just talk to you guys about this fermented compost teas that we make.
Okay.
So this is a fish hydrolate that we make. because we actually get lots of fish from the ocean.
Okay.
So it's like an anaerobic fermentation. So this is kind of like anaerobic, no oxygen.
Anaerobic,
Yeah.
okay.
So what we do with here is like we try to emulate the stomach of a cow.
Okay.
No oxygen. So what happens here is like you are getting fermentation inside. So like the fermentation produce lots of carbon dioxide. So what you want to do is like just allow the carbon dioxide to come out. But because we have water here, we are not allowing the oxygen to come in.
Yeah.
It's airlock as they use like for making beer and wine. So it's just like bubbles. They don't bubble anymore because they are ready.
Yeah. Okay.
But this is an anaerobic fermentation, and we use different kind of ingredients, but we try to use what our soil needs. So we do soil testing each year in this time of the year when we finish our season and when the soil is tired, they call it. So that's
when it's what?
Tired.
Tired.
Yeah. So that's when we go and collect our samples and we actually send it to the lab and we get the results. And based on that results, we amend our soil with different minerals. And here are samples of the things that we use. Yeah, so we have, this is from oysters, the oyster shell. So this is like a really good source of calcium. And this is gypsum. And we have sulfur and lots of things that we use for remineralizing our soil, you know?
Okay.
So that way the food, it's richer.
Okay.
Yeah. And so these guys,
When you get done with this fermentation process, what are you gonna use with what's in here?
spray it on the plants.
Okay.
Yeah, you can use it for different things.
To bring the microflora back under the.
Yeah,
the
exactly.
plants. Okay.
Yeah, and with this one has maybe like 7 different minerals like copper, zinc, calcium.
Okay.
So what you use is you use the microbiology to kind of like break down the minerals, so that way they are more available for plants. So when you spray it on plants, it's already digested.
Okay.
So the plant can take it.
That the fermentation process makes it more
Exactly.
available for the plant.
Exactly. Yeah.
Just like sometimes we need to eat
Fermented foods. That's exactly the same. Those are probiotics for plants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this guy, it's I think it's supposed to be a Japanese recipe in the beginning.
Yeah.
But it has been really widely spread here in Latin America by a few teachers.
So are they doing the same formula of the Japanese guy, or is it just
It's a little different.
It's a little different.
It's standardized to America.
Okay.
Yeah. So what we do here is like we go and collect soil from the jungle, which you are assuming that the soil from the jungle or the forest is like a really healthy soil, and you wanna reproduce the microorganisms from the soil here.
Okay.
So you add sources of food, carbohydrates and sugars, so that way they can reproduce. And you'll kind of like close it for 1 month, so you don't get oxygen. And when the microorganisms are lacking oxygen, they reproduce because they are like so that way they can thrive. So you can like just like do that process. So this is full of eggs or however the microorganisms reproduce.
Okay.
So for this,
Basically, you're sort of robbing Peter to pay or something like that. You're getting some microbes. Getting the microbes. The assumption is they're going to reproduce themselves in that jungle. So you're not. I'm just kind of joking. You're not really. You're taking enough that it's going to reproduce itself in the jungle. Then you're going to get
we
something
just take like a few bags. We don't need much. Yeah, just a few bags of the topsoil of the jungle, and we bring it here.
So you're creating your own microorganism.
Exactly. Yeah. And for this, we apply 10 kilos of this for 1 ton of compost. So after our compost kind of like became a little cooler, so you apply this and just mix your compost pile. And also we take this and reproduce them in liquid.
Okay.
And for the liquid, for example, you can use it when you cut your cover crops. You spray it on your cover crops and kind of like helps to break them faster. Yeah. So or you can use this and put them in your fish emulsion. So that way kind of like helps to break them easier. So you can feed this to your chickens. You can feed this to your cows. So it's like a really good source of probiotics. Yeah.
When did you learn about this?
A few years ago.
A few years ago.
Yeah, a few years ago.
Kind of cool that you're just jumping right on it.
Oh yeah, no, you have to.
I've known about this for some time, but actually, then the technique that you're doing is something new to me. I mean, there's a formula from I can't remember his name. I met him before. The guy that did EM, And
they call it like efficient microorganisms, right?
Yeah,
He had like a whole movement in the U.S. Yeah. We don't get that much here in Mexico for some reason. But there's this guy. He's a Colombian guy who has been spreading these techniques. He doesn't go to the U.S. Because he doesn't believe in the capitalistic system, so he doesn't like to go there. Yeah, he told me once that he doesn't go that much to the US. He goes to Europe a little bit, but like he's all over Latin America. His name is Jairo Restrepo.
I haven't heard of him, but
yeah, he's good. No, he's good. Yeah. And so let me just show you. Let me just open up this so you can just see it. So they have to be locked, no oxygen. So this guy is the one that has minerals in it, and this is liquid. So just take. Oh, it smells so good.
Yeah, it's a very familiar smell. Yeah, it's very familiar.
Yeah. So with that, you put like 1 liter for 20 liters of water.
Okay.
So like 20 liters of water is like 5 gallons.
Yeah.
So it's like a quarter of a gallon for 5 gallons.
Okay.
And then you go and spray it on the plant. We use sometimes we put nopal, like cactus sap. So that way it kind of like sticks on the plants. Or you can use like aloe or soap, but like the soap I don't like to use it because it kills the microorganisms of the leaves.
Yeah.
So, but like if you use cactus sap, it's really good. Just like cut cactus and just put them in a bag and just let them soak in water for one night. And the next day you get like this, like really sappy. And then you put like a liter of that in your pump, and then you just go and just spray your plants, and that's like the perfect feed.
Okay.
And I do it like during the full moon. So when the moon is like mowing, how do you call it when it's growing? Waning and waxing. Yeah. So when the moon is waning, that's when we apply things that go above.
Okay.
Yeah. And we try to follow as much as we can. Sometimes it's really hard. I made like this calendar for applications and all that, but sometimes it's hard to keep it. Yeah. But we try as much as we try as best. We try our best.
I mean, it's a pretty. I think that's I never. Maybe as I'm getting older, maybe I can devote more time to trying to figure out these techniques. But
it's hard. It's hard.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Like I said, these days it's just more traveling than growing. But by next year we'll be back in the fields a little bit more.
Please come, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the greenhouse where we germinate our plants, and we grow our vegetables in these beds.
Okay.
We made these beds that actually kind of like follow the contour.
Okay. So this is all your winter stuff in this space here?
Yeah, well, this is what's left,
Okay.
Because we're not making plants anymore.
Just trying to understand the size of it. Mine back home is like doing the same thing. It's just like it's going out of season.
Instagram es iq.tierra y Facebook is the same, iq.tierra, iq.tierra, earth in Spanish.
¿Iq con K o cómo es?
Con K.
Con K y un
What is it in English?
iq. And iq means corn in Wixárika, which is the Huichol people, the native people from here. So remind that iq.tierra. And thank you for coming and make us part of that. It sounds really important.
Yeah, we'll get the word out. It's a good word, and we'll do our best to get the word out.
That's a good shirt. I like it.
Oh, yeah. It's just a brand new shirt.